Today, we'll debate, has globalization been more beneficial or detrimental to the world economy and culture? With Sylvia, a globalization advocate, and Matteo, a globalization critic. They're two artificial intelligence personas. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello, my name is Sylvia, and I'm an economist dedicated to exploring and advocating the benefits of globalization. Throughout my career with an international trade organization, I've witnessed firsthand how globalization drives economic growth, pulling millions out of poverty by allowing countries to specialize and engage in the global exchange of goods and services. I believe that this interconnectedness fosters innovation and technological advancement as it encourages competition and collaboration across borders. Culturally, globalization enriches our societies by promoting cross-cultural dialogue and understanding. Through global platforms, diverse voices can come together, leading to unique creative collaborations and a more inclusive global culture. Furthermore, I hold the view that economic interdependence acts as a deterrent to conflicts, pushing countries to pursue cooperation over confrontation. Globalization, in my opinion, is a powerful force for peace, prosperity, and cultural enrichment across the world. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Matteo, a cultural anthropologist and activist deeply concerned about the negative impacts of globalization. My work focuses on advocating for localism and self-sufficiency, as I've seen how globalization can exacerbate economic disparities, concentrating wealth and power in the hands of multinational corporations and affluent nations. This often comes at the expense of local businesses and workers, who struggle to compete in an uneven playing field. Culturally, I'm worried about the erosion of local traditions and languages. Globalization can lead to cultural homogenization, where dominant cultures overshadow the richness and diversity of indigenous cultures and heritage. Moreover, we cannot ignore the environmental degradation spurred by globalization-driven industrialization, which leads to resource depletion and increased carbon emissions through sprawling global supply chains. Lastly, I highlight the exploitation of labor, particularly in developing countries where weak regulations result in poor working conditions and workers' rights violations. It's crucial that we reconsider the current trajectory of globalization and strive for a more equitable and sustainable global community. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Sylvia and Matteo will now present their 3 rounds of arguments.
One of the most compelling arguments in favor of globalization is its ability to drive economic growth and development on an unprecedented scale. By lowering barriers to trade and investment, globalization enables countries to specialize in producing goods and services where they have a comparative advantage. This specialization increases efficiency and productivity, ultimately leading to higher economic output and wealth generation. Moreover, globalization facilitates access to larger markets, allowing businesses, even from developing countries, to expand and reach consumers worldwide. This not only stimulates economic activities but also creates job opportunities and enhances living standards. Data has shown that nations more integrated into the global economy tend to experience faster economic growth and significant poverty reduction. Additionally, the flow of foreign direct investment fostered by globalization brings in capital, technology, and expertise, which are crucial for infrastructure development and industrialization in emerging economies. In summary, the positive momentum of globalization serves as a powerful engine for economic prosperity and improved quality of life across the globe.
A significant concern about globalization is the exacerbation of economic inequalities. While it opens new markets and opportunities, the benefits are disproportionately accrued by multinational corporations and affluent nations, often sidelining local businesses and economies in the process. This concentration of wealth and power deepens the economic divide, leaving many workers in precarious situations as they face stagnant wages and reduced job security. Globalization frequently prioritizes cost efficiency over fair wages and labor rights, leading to the exploitation of workers in developing countries. These workers often endure poor working conditions and lack basic protections due to weak regulatory environments, all in the pursuit of lower production costs by global companies. This race to the bottom in labor standards not only undermines workers' rights but also perpetuates cycles of poverty and inequality. Furthermore, the integration of global supply chains often pressures countries to prioritize economic growth over addressing social and environmental issues, which can lead to unsustainable practices. In essence, the current form of globalization tends to benefit the few while marginalizing the many, highlighting a need for a more equitable global framework.
While I understand Matteo's concerns about economic inequalities and labor exploitation, I believe it is crucial to consider how globalization, when managed effectively, can address these issues. For example, international trade agreements and regulatory frameworks can harmonize labor standards and promote fair trade practices, ensuring that workers in developing countries are protected and adequately compensated. By strengthening these regulations, globalization can lift labor standards globally rather than lowering them. Moreover, globalization enables economic opportunities and access to technology that can empower local communities. The transfer of knowledge and skills through global networks can help build local capacities and foster entrepreneurship. This empowerment of local businesses can drive innovation and create sustainable economic ecosystems, reducing dependence on multinational corporations. Lastly, while I recognize the environmental challenges posed by globalization, it is important to note that global collaborations have also led to significant environmental initiatives. International cooperation is crucial in addressing climate change, with globalization facilitating the cross-border transfer of green technologies and best practices. By embracing a more global perspective, we can tackle these complex issues collectively and work towards a more sustainable and equitable future.
I appreciate Sylvia's points regarding the potential for international trade agreements and regulatory frameworks to address labor and environmental concerns, but we must approach these solutions with caution. The enforcement of labor and environmental standards often falls short, particularly in developing countries where regulatory frameworks may lack the necessary support or political will to ensure compliance. Without stringent enforcement, promises of equitable labor standards and environmental protections remain largely theoretical. Furthermore, while globalization can indeed facilitate the transfer of technology and skills, these benefits are not always accessible to marginalized communities. The digital divide, for instance, leaves many without the means to participate in or benefit from globalization's potential opportunities, thus reinforcing existing disparities. Additionally, the claim that globalization enables collective environmental action must be balanced against the undeniable environmental cost of long-distance trade and industrialization, a driving factor of climate change and biodiversity loss. Instead of solely relying on global frameworks, we should focus on empowering local communities to develop their solutions, emphasizing sustainable practices that align with local needs and cultures. Ultimately, addressing globalization's shortcomings requires genuine commitment to fostering equitable and locally empowered approaches.
Matteo, I appreciate your passion and concerns, though I must gently point out that we can't throw the globalization baby out with the bathwater. While enforcement of standards can sometimes be as sticky as caramel on a hot day, the international community has made strides in improving compliance through stronger institutions and monitoring mechanisms. Think of the International Labour Organization as the gym coach that ensures everyone plays by the rules. As for the digital divide, that's a crucial challenge, but it's also like the Wi-Fi signal at a coffee shop, a bit unreliable but definitely expanding. Global partnerships are investing in infrastructure to bridge this gap, turning connectivity into a universal reality, not just a luxury in Silicon Valley. Your environmental concerns are valid, but let's remember that globalization also spurs investment in renewable energy and sustainable technologies. It's like planting global seeds of innovation which, when nurtured, can help us harvest a greener planet. In summary, while challenges remain, much like my attempts to learn Mandarin, we can't deny the transformative potential of globalization when it is optimized. Global frameworks, coupled with local empowerment, can lead to a world where growth, equity, and sustainability beautifully coexist.
Sylvia, your optimism is as refreshing as an Italian gelato on a summer's day, but let's not lose sight of the broader picture. While you mention the International Labour Organization's role, it's worth noting that sometimes global standards are treated more like New Year's resolutions, great on paper, but often forgotten by February, especially when profit-driven interests are at play. As for the digital divide, calling it a universal reality is like saying my grandmother's internet speed is Olympic level fast. The reality is, access remains uneven, and marginalized communities are still stuck in the slow lane of the information superhighway. We need more than just optimism, we need tangible, on-the-ground solutions that ensure technology truly reaches everyone. Regarding the global seeds of innovation, let's hope they're not the kind that grow into invasive species. While there's potential for positive change, we must ensure that local ecosystems, both environmental and cultural, are preserved and respected, not sidelined in favor of one-size-fits-all solutions from the global market. In essence, while globalization offers opportunities, we must tread with care, ensuring that these benefits are genuine and inclusive, rather than simply theoretical or unevenly distributed. Our aim should be to nurture local communities, fostering growth and sustainability that align with their unique contexts and needs.
Thank you for your speeches. Someone from the audience will now make a question to Sylvia and Matteo.
Hello, I'm Priya, an international relations student with a keen interest in how globalization impacts social justice worldwide. I've been following this debate with great interest. My question is directed at Sylvia. While you have touched on economic and cultural aspects of globalization, I'm curious about its impact on global health. How do you see globalization influencing healthcare systems, especially in terms of access to essential medicines and technologies in developing countries? Thank you.
Thank you for the thoughtful question, Priya. Globalization has had a profound impact on global health, and while there are indeed challenges, I believe it has largely been a force for good in this area. Firstly, globalization facilitates the rapid dissemination of medical innovations and technologies across borders. For instance, advancements in pharmaceuticals and medical equipment can now reach developing countries more swiftly than ever, improving healthcare outcomes and saving lives. A recent example is the global collaboration in developing and distributing COVID-19 vaccines, which was unprecedented and showcased the potential of global cooperation in addressing health crises. Moreover, globalization enhances access to a wide range of medicines by enabling international trade and reducing costs through competition and generic drug production. Organizations like the World Health Organization and partnerships through global health initiatives have played pivotal roles in making medicines more accessible in resource-limited settings. However, it's important to note that while globalization opens doors, challenges like patent laws and pricing discrepancies still need addressing to ensure equitable access. We must work towards global policies that balance innovation with accessibility so that the benefits of medical advancements reach everyone, regardless of geography or economic status. In essence, while there are hurdles to overcome, the positive impact of globalization on global health is undeniable, and with continued effort we can expand these benefits to create more equitable healthcare systems worldwide.
Sure, here it goes. Hello again, Matteo. I'm intrigued by the cultural dimensions of your argument. While you've discussed cultural homogenization and its impacts, I'm curious about your thoughts on the role of globalization in the spread of misinformation and its effects on cultural and social dynamics. With the rise of global communication platforms, how do you see globalization influencing the spread of misinformation and contributing to social polarization or misunderstandings?
Thank you for the insightful question, Priya. Globalization indeed plays a significant role in the spread of information, and unfortunately, misinformation as well, through expansive communication platforms. While these platforms have the potential to connect us and enhance cultural understanding, they also facilitate the rapid dissemination of misleading information, sometimes faster than it takes me to finish a plate of pasta. Misinformation can exploit these global networks, spreading unverified facts and skewed narratives that contribute to social polarization. It often preys on existing cultural and social tensions, amplifying divisions rather than fostering the understanding we hope globalization would promote. With the sheer volume of information available, distinguishing credible sources from unreliable ones becomes a daunting task for many. This misinformation spread can erode trust in institutions and between communities, leading to cultural misunderstandings and conflicts. It's like playing a game of telephone on a global scale, where the message often gets distorted by the time it reaches the last person. To counter this, it's essential for global platforms and stakeholders to invest in media literacy, encouraging critical thinking and discernment in information consumption. Additionally, stronger international cooperation to establish norms and policies for digital platforms can help mitigate the spread of harmful misinformation. In summary, while globalization offers incredible communication tools, we must responsibly manage these tools to prevent misinformation from undermining the very cultural connections we strive to strengthen.
The debaters now have a minute to talk about something they regret not bringing up to the discussion.
Reflecting on our dynamic debate, one area I regret not emphasizing more is the role of globalization in crisis management and humanitarian aid. In an interconnected world, globalization greatly enhances our ability to respond swiftly and collaboratively to global crises, whether they be natural disasters, health pandemics, or humanitarian emergencies. Through global networks, countries and organizations can coordinate aid efforts more effectively, pooling resources and expertise in times of need. For instance, international relief efforts can provide timely assistance following events like earthquakes or floods, where the rapid mobilization of aid is crucial. Furthermore, globalization facilitates knowledge exchange, allowing best practices in disaster preparedness and response to be shared widely, improving resilience globally. Additionally, global supply chains, despite their complexities, have demonstrated their value in ensuring the distribution of essential supplies during times of crisis, another aspect we could have explored further. Acknowledging these positive aspects of globalization in crisis contexts underlines the shared human experience and highlights how, despite certain challenges, globalization can unify us in responding to the world's most pressing issues.
Looking back on our insightful discussion, I realize I didn't delve deeply into the impact of globalization on mental health and community well-being. While globalization fosters connectivity, it can also lead to a sense of disconnection and stress among individuals and communities as they navigate rapid cultural and economic changes. The pressure to integrate into a globalized economy often demands significant lifestyle adjustments, which constrain social cohesion and traditional community structures. People may experience a loss of identity or cultural disorientation as global norms increasingly influence local practices and values. Moreover, the constant comparison facilitated by global media can exacerbate feelings of inadequacy or anxiety, impacting mental health. It's like being part of a never-ending competition where everyone seems to have it all figured out except you. Increased access to information does not always equate to increased well-being, especially if local mental health resources are limited or underfunded. This imbalance highlights the importance of strengthening community-based support networks and mental health services to help people adapt healthily to the changes globalization brings. In conclusion, while addressing economic and cultural concerns is vital, we must also pay attention to the more subtle, yet profound, implications of globalization on individuals' mental health and community integrity.
Thank you, folks. Let's go over to our judges.
Certainly, below are the scores based on typical formal debate metrics: content, delivery, and rebuttal. Each score is out of 10. Sylvia, 1. Content, 9 out of 10. Sylvia demonstrated an in-depth understanding of globalization, deftly highlighting its economic, cultural, and technological benefits. Her examples, such as advancements in global health cooperation, were well chosen and substantiated her points convincingly. 2. Delivery, 8 out of 10. Sylvia's delivery was articulate and confident, effectively engaging the audience. Her use of humor added a relatable touch to her arguments, although occasionally it slightly overshadowed her main points. Overall, she maintained clarity and remained persuasive. 3. Rebuttal, 9 out of 10. Sylvia effectively addressed Matteo's concerns and countered with constructive arguments, focusing on the optimistic potential of globalization when regulated properly. She acknowledged opposing points, turning them into opportunities to underscore her vision of managed globalization. Matteo, 1. Content, 8 out of 10. Matteo offered a thorough critique of globalization, effectively discussing its downsides, such as economic disparities and cultural erosion. His points were well supported by examples, such as the digital divide and misinformation, enriching the debate. 2. Delivery, 9 out of 10. Matteo's delivery was passionate and engaging, clearly conveying his stance with a touch of humor that resonated well with the audience. He maintained a compelling narrative that emphasized the importance of considering local impacts in a globalized world. 3. Rebuttal, 8 out of 10. Matteo adeptly addressed Sylvia's arguments by presenting potential pitfalls in the practical application of proposed solutions. While he countered effectively, there were moments where more direct engagement with her positive examples could have strengthened his rebuttal. These scores reflect a balanced evaluation, with Sylvia excelling in countering arguments with optimism and Matteo delivering a strong critique while maintaining a focus on social justice and localism. Both debaters effectively utilized humor to engage while keeping their points accessible and relatable.
What are your opinions about the debate? What would you like to see AI's debate next? Keep questioning.